Hello everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we are back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to talk about the role of a villain and why it's so important, perhaps even essential in terms of a story. Now there are so many reasons for the importance of a villain, but one of the biggest ones is that they are the reason for the story. The villain defines very much the end goal of the narrative, the destination of the journey, the reason for you as a viewer for sticking with the story. We go into the story to see whether the villain has to be stopped or be defeated. The villain's cause or motivation is established, and that is the hook. Whether it's to destroy the land, to gain revenge for a bad deed or a crime, or an event that has been caused by that character. And it's that motivation that's so key in developing the villain's overall nature. If we know what they're trying to do and why they're trying to do it, then that can build a real solid foundation for the story. What's also key to being a great villain is that actual level of threat. If you can establish early on that the villain is the most powerful force, the most dangerous person, the biggest influence, then the levels of stakes are always raised whenever the villain is involved. As a viewer, you should always be on edge or excited or at the very least compelled whenever the villain appears within the story. We also then talk about the actual nature and character of the villain, who, if we really think about it, to be the most effective as a villain has to ultimately be on the side of evil. Defeating the force of evil, preventing bad things from happening, is something that really engages us as an audience, or it should engage us as an audience. We should, as generally human beings, want to see evil defeated in order to preserve good. We should want to see people saved, or justice upheld or served. So by the villain being a true representation of evil, it will always compel us more to the story. It also brings a lot more validation overall to the plot. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that we are seeing currently in entertainment today, in that too much effort is being made to humanise or show empathy towards the villain. Now of course you want villains to have depth and layers to their character, but if we cross that line too far and we get to the point where the villain doesn't even feel that villainous at all, then it really takes a lot of the heat and the intensity out of the story. Now I know it's the current trend nowadays to see the villain as the hero of the story. Certain people feel that they can see themselves far more in the villain, that they're more relatable because they're more flawed and they make mistakes or they do bad deeds. So that makes people convinced that they can do bad things as well. The whole concept of trying to redeem the villain makes people feel that they can also come back from any previous mistakes or misdemeanors as well. But if we spend the story rooting for the villain, then what's the point of the role of the protagonist? If we're rooting for the villain to succeed, where's the compelling drive in terms of the overall plot? Now you will get movies such as Scarface, let's say, where the lead character is much more morally ambiguous or does bad things throughout the story. But those aren't your typical villain stories. When we watch those type of films, we're there to watch more the journey that the character goes under, rather than to see an evil force be defeated. It's these type of movies are much more of character study rather than being an out and out villain. Now of course, another special element of being a great villain is their overall look. Always a feature of any special character, but in particular the most iconic villains within pop culture always tend to be defined by their overall look and their image. Now whilst ultimately the character of the villain is most important, how they appear can again draw you into the overall story. Their appearance can generate a certain atmosphere and tension and suspense, which again can make the overall story far more compelling. Whilst not necessary, the villain having memorable and quotable dialogue and lines also contributes to making them an overall great character. The most famous villainous characters throughout pop culture and entertainment tend to be the ones who do have the most memorable lines and dialogue. Again, this makes them far more of a distinctive character, far more impressionable and far more impactful. The more impactful the villain, the more impactful the story. And so it's for all these reasons why I believe whenever creating a story, particularly any type of superhero, fantasy, action type of narrative, it's always important that the villain, that they do have some depth and substance to their character, alongside having a memorable look and certain memorable scenes and memorable dialogue. The greater the villain, in many ways, the greater the actual story. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings on why the villain is so important in terms of building a story or a narrative. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree that the villain should be ultimately a force of evil? Or are you in keeping with the current trend where we are seeing many villains being far more sympathetic characters, much more tragic anti-heroes? Do you think this is the way to go forward in terms of storytelling, that we should be concentrating far more on the villains than the actual heroes, because many people deem it to be far more interesting? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you liked this type of topic and discussion and you'd like to see me provide more videos similar to this one, then let me know in the comments. And also, if you have any other suggestions regarding any television shows, movies, or any other hot topics that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, also drop me suggestions within the comments, and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, stay at safe distances, and I will see you very, very soon.